if you had to focus on one issue, which none of us are one issue candidates, that's the one thing you're going to find with progressives is we are a full plate of issues because they all interrelate. Mm-hmm. But we've heard a couple. What are your single issues? What are your biggest issues? What are the things that you're going to start fighting for first?
We already discussed that one issue I would say is money, but if I'm going to discuss it as one issue, I think the concept is leadership. You all said free education, free healthcare, and I agree with that in principle. In practice, I think everyone should be covered, but we're referring to it as wrong. It's not free healthcare. It's an investment in our people. It's not free education. It's an investment in our people. Buying a bomb to blow a hole in another country versus paying to send a child to school or send a would-be graduate student to a PhD program so that they can cure cancer, so that they can make the internet faster, so they can make the internet freer, a mesh network that can't be regulated by the FEC to block communication like this. I think we have a problem with messaging. Everybody agrees that we should all have universal healthcare. Everybody who can do basic math understands that between what I pay in premiums and what I pay in taxes, that total would go down. I would keep the same coverage, and as a side effect, everyone would have full coverage. Referring to that as a right or referring to that as free is the wrong sales pitch to the people. This is an investment. I've had this little tirade before. Back in the day when humans first got together, the first benefit of society was we didn't let predators eat our fellow man. When one of us fell behind the tribe, we all slowed down. We all kept the wolves off the guy with the bad ankle. We all kept the wolves off the woman with the child. It's very simple that the only thing left in our society is disease, is injury. Those are the predators that still hunt humans other than each other when we're being monsters. We have prevented disease in rich countries. We have prevented wolves and other predators. Why don't we treat universal health care as one of the marks of a great society, one of the marks of the responsibility of a society to take care of each other, to protect each other? This is an investment in people, because that child that you keep from dying of leukemia, he might be the one who's taking care of you in the nursing home. He might be the one who cures leukemia for your kid. We treat these, people talk about it as free. It's not. I'm happy to pay for it. People talk about it as a right. It's not. There's no right not to be eaten by a predator. This is one of the great advantages of society. We're not the fastest animals on earth. We're not the meanest. We're not the biggest. We're not the strongest. But as a collective, taking care of each other, we can all do better. So the sales pitch isn't, that's my issue, is leadership. My issue is we need to sell to the people who've given up on government. The biggest voting bloc in this state is people who don't vote. The biggest voting bloc in the last 50 years in every election in the United States is people who don't vote. And it's because Republicans saying Democrats suck and Democrats saying Republicans suck is not leadership. The Republicans found this out the hard way. They've spent 8 years opposing Obama. They managed to win a sweeping election, 1,000+ seats. And now that they're quote unquote governing, they literally are sitting there, thankfully, completely inept. They can't actually govern. They can't actually lead. And the Democrats are falling into the exact same trap. We've got this mascot, this orange monster in the White House, and people are spending their time saying him bad, him bad, him bad. Their tax plan is bad, but they're not leading on anything else. They're not presenting hey, their tax plan's bad. Here's ours. Here are the contrasts. Here's where your money goes. Here's where we actually make the world a better place by voting for this, not just against that. So I've got a fellow Senate candidate there. I hope you do the same thing I do. We are not running to beat Cantwell. We are not running for her seat. We're running to be the best person in the race with the best ideas, with leadership and representation for all of the state, not she bad, me better. And that's the end of mine. Thank you.
With everything that you just said, Jeromy. So for me, completely agreeing with Jeromy, he's completely on target. We can't just be resisting. We have to break through. We have to do something. We can't just stop things from happening. We also have to start things, start making things happen. For me, I think the single issue that I would be hardest on, and the one that I would want to tackle the most, is border. Military spending is astronomical. They just rearranged the budget again, and it looks like we're edging in on $1 trillion military budget. And there's a lot of finer details of that budget that people don't understand, because we can't, unless we can free up the funds, things like universal health care, debt-free access to education, all of that stuff isn't going to be able to happen feasibly if we don't have some kind of financial room with which to actually make it happen. I've learned a lot about the military budget, military structuring now, and that's why the thing I want to focus on is hammering away at that budget, because we give of that I think it's $772 billion now, or 732. Either way, it's over $700 billion. 60% of that budget goes to private military contract groups like Lockheed Martin, like Northrop Grumman, like Boeing, and they're recording billions of dollars in profit every year off of those contracts, which means that money isn't going to our soldiers, it's not going to our military. When you hear these stories of, oh, the military doesn't have enough money for new uniforms. No, they do. They just keep giving it to private contractors and then telling us they don't have the money for these things.
Really?
If they stopped paying these expensive contracts, we'd actually have the ability to properly outfit our military then, and we'd be able to pay living wages, we'd be able to train better soldiers, it would be far more affordable for us to actually have our military up to speed instead of focusing billions of dollars into these useless contracts that are just costing us an arm and a leg. So the thing I would be most focused on is absolutely chipping away at the war industry and watching representatives that like my incumbent Adam Smith he sits on as the ranking member of the Armed Forces Committee. He's the only ranking Democrat. He takes thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars from Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and coincidentally votes repeatedly to increase the military budget with no regard for what's going on with all these other programs that we need and all these other necessities that we're denying the people. So that would be absolutely the first issue that I would start to tackle when I take office.
For me personally, the one that I want to focus on is the money financial corruption in Congress. And the way that I see doing that has the most beneficial impact is implementing citizen allocated taxes. And citizen allocated taxes is a program that I developed, and it's essentially allowing every U.S. citizen to spend up to 50% of the taxes that are collected from them on any government program that they want. They want to spend money on the military, have at it. Universal health care, education, roads, nuclear power. What you want to put your money towards, you should be allowed to put your money towards without somebody else telling you, no, I know better than you. We're going to put your money over here. Now, one of the biggest issues with that plan is the Constitution. All taxes are supposed to be appropriated by Congress. If we're going to have a plan like this, it would likely require a constitutional amendment to allow citizens to also have that ability to appropriate tax dollars.